Looking for commonalities in champions. What's the definition of this sentence? And what's our goal when looking for commonalities in champions? What are we hoping to accomplish when we are looking for commonalities in champions? First, let's start off. What does that mean? Looking for commonalities in champions. What does that mean? Well, for me, what it means to me is I'm looking for the mindset of a champion. Habits, routines, most importantly, techniques, mechanics, things that were focal points of emphasis for them, practicing methods, how they chose coaching, who they studied, even detailed things such as sleep habits. What do all these champions have in common regarding these topics? Now, this is something that a lot of journalists do. They will look for commonalities in different champions, like what does Tiger Woods have in common with Michael Jordan and LeBron James and Tom Brady? And I think this is a fantastic thing to do and serves a great purpose for those looking to improve in anything, really. Whether that be your form of competition, if you're a billiards player, a swimmer, a golfer, whatever, or you're a businessman, you want to do better in your business, or you're a teacher and you want to become a better teacher, we can just look at how did people get good at something. But today, I want to talk about something that I feel is a big mistake by journalists or other sports psychologists. I think a lot of these guys are making a mistake when looking for commonalities in champions. I think they are choosing the wrong people to investigate. Perhaps I'm being a little too harsh. Maybe it's not the wrong people. I just feel like we can do better. So, for example, I was recently reading a book by, I think his name is Rob Ranella, and he kept using LeBron James as an example in his commonalities amongst champions report. But we as investigators, why would we use LeBron James in our data? So we're gathering this data from champions, right? And LeBron is a champion. So we feel like, okay, let's add him to our data. And yes, that makes sense. But let's pump the brakes for a minute here and let's go back a second. And let's think about what are our goals? What is the whole purpose of this investigation? It's so we can get better and we can apply these concepts to ourselves, right? So when we investigate someone such as LeBron James, yes, he is a champion. However, much of the data we get from him, much of the feedback that we get from him, we cannot apply to ourselves. And that is our goal. So what I mean by that is much of his success is due to his physical gifts, something that we cannot look to replicate, which is our goal. Why are we looking at irrelevant data? Why would we add that data to our equation? We're looking at commonalities amongst champions of things that we can actually replicate. So the data we're gathering needs to be relevant. So data point 1, LeBron worked hard. Check. Relevant. We can do that. I can do that in my business. I can do that in golf. I can do that in badminton. Data point number 2. LeBron James would wake up at 4 a.m. every day. Okay. I can do that in my business. I can do that in my swim team. Okay. Data point number 3. Be 6'9" and a 50-inch vertical. Wait, what? That just diluted all the info. If we're adding this to our equation, this is diluting our statistics. At the end of the day, when we look at the total numbers, this is totally diluting our statistic. And this is the big mistake I think these journalists are making. I mean, they'll add all these ridiculous athletes to the equation. I mean, look at the top 50 NBA players of all time. How many of them are, I mean, just Google it. How many of them are average height? Maybe one or two? How many of them can do crazy, ridiculous 360 dunks? Pretty much all of them? My point is we need to carefully consider who we are learning from. And it's fine what they're doing, but there's a better way. Like, I don't want to be too hard on them. It's fine what they're doing. And you can learn a lot from LeBron James's work ethic and whatever, right? He's not just going to succeed on being 6'9" and, 250. There's obviously more to that to be one of the best of all time. But we can do better. What we can do is we can break our investigation down into two categories. One that includes physical gifts such as running and jumping and stuff like that, football, basketball, these sports. And then another that takes athleticism out of the equation. I mean, there are thousands of other games in sports which take athleticism out of the equation. And we can evaluate those to find commonalities and champions and get a much more accurate data. And you might think I'm taking this concept too far or being too hard on these journalists and that making too big of a deal out of this. I don't think I am. I put a lot of thought in this. Maybe I am. But here's why I think I'm not. I think I'm onto something here. And here's why. In my opinion, it doesn't end here. So to continue, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Using this concept is how you learn and get better. This is how you choose a coach. This is how you train. This is how you train the right stuff. This is so important. It's so easy to, spend 1,000 hours training the wrong way and waste 1,000 hours. Okay, now you just learned a bad habit. Now you got to spend another 1,000 hours to break that habit. I mean, using this concept is how you learn and get better. So let's take this example. First, let's state our goal. Our goal is to learn and get better, okay? And now you're asking yourself, well, how can I learn and get better? Well, let's assume you are fairly new to basketball and you're looking for a coach. Well, who do we choose? Let's say I put two guys in front of you. One is LeBron James and one is Steve Nash. If you didn't know any better, you'd probably choose LeBron James if you watched him play. But you're making the mistake of not recognizing the reason for his success. Steve Nash can teach you how to be a 90% free throw shooter. Contrastly, LeBron James can teach you how he is a 72% free throw shooter. Steve Nash can teach you how to shoot 40% from three. Or LeBron can teach you how to shoot 32% from three. LeBron can teach you how he blocked 2 shots a game. But hell, I can teach you how to block 2 shots a game. You just jump really high and put your arm out. Oh, and be 6'9" and a 50-inch vertical. LeBron can teach you how he shot 50% field goal around the rim. But hell, I can teach you that. Run really fast, be really strong, be 6'9", and absorb the contact. Boom, done. My point is that Steve Nash is 6'3" and 160 pounds. How in the hell did he become an MVP in a league full of monsters? Well, there's only one explanation. Can you guess what that explanation is? How did Steve Nash, 6'3", 160 pounds, the smallest, weakest player in the NBA. There's only one explanation. That's skill. Skill is transferable. Being 6'9" is not. So, to wrap this all up, put a nice little bow on it, there are thousands of champions that we can look at for commonalities and get a better representation of what we're looking for here. Pool players, dart players, gun shooters, etc., etc. And I think the key phrase is here, and I say this phrase a lot: take athleticism out of the equation. Then you will know who to study and who to learn from. Who is succeeding because of proper techniques, optimal techniques, mechanics, strategies. Lastly, I'd like to say this and leave you with a little words of wisdom here. This is probably the biggest mistake I have made in my life, and I hope you can learn from my mistake. Carefully examine your goals before you dedicate your entire life to something. So whatever your dream is, if you want to be a professional swimmer, a professional dancer, a doctor, anything, whatever your dream is, carefully examine it like this. People always say you can do anything you want to do if you put your mind to it, which I believe that to be true. But, this is a big but. But, are you willing to put your mind to it more than your peers? Because it's competitive out there. So when I say carefully examine your goals and your dreams before you dedicate your life to it, this is what I'm referring to. Examine, are you willing to put your mind to it? Are you willing to work that hard? And examine, are there disadvantages that you're at, which might mean you have to work harder, even more? Disadvantages such as height, strength, physical disadvantages. If you're at a disadvantage, if the answer to that question is yes, I'm at a disadvantage, but I still love it and I still gonna give my all to it. If you're telling yourself that right now, pump the brakes a second, slow down a second. Wait. Yes, you may be passionate about it, but is there something else that you could be equally as passionate about and not be at a disadvantage? So, for example, I really love basketball. I really love it, but I'm only 5'9". But that's not going to stop me. Is it really basketball you love? Have you tried water polo? Maybe it's not basketball that you love. Maybe it's competing that you love. Maybe it's winning that you love. Have you tried darts before? Have you tried bowling? Have you tried all these things that have you tried badminton? There might be a lot of things that you haven't tried that you love just as much, but you're not at a disadvantage. And why not take an easier route and have a more successful, fulfilling life? Don't make the mistake I did, and I chose wrong. And now that window of opportunity is closed. That ship has sailed. I think a lot of people will fall into a trap of, we call it playing up or playing down. So in sports, if you're playing up, you're playing against maybe kids that are older than you. And if you're playing down, you're playing against kids that are younger than you. Now, this can go for playing up, playing down, bigger or smaller than you as well, not only younger or older. And the point of identifying this is, if you're playing up, you're not going to be able to use physical advantages to beat your competition because you're smaller, you're younger. So you're going to have to develop skills to beat to beat them or to compete with them. Now, if you're playing down, you're going to be playing with people that are smaller than you or people that are younger than you. You're going to be flexing on them. You're going to be using your physical advantages to beat them more often. And I think people maybe will fall into this trap. They will think they're better. For example, they'll think they're better at basketball than they really are because they had so much success. But they were having success playing down. They're having success against smaller people. Now they dedicate their entire lives to this thing where, they didn't develop skills and they're not as good as they thought they were. And they're always trying to recapture that. And they're like, what changed? I used to be so good. What changed? Well, the environment or the ecosystem usually changed. Well, I won't go into that too much. That's a whole nother video right there. But anyways, that's it for today, guys. Thanks for listening, and thank you. Goodbye.